Welcome to the next episode of Midweek Drum Hang. This week I have Mike Greenfield joining me any minute now. We'll see when that happens. Give it a few minutes. Let's see here. Well, how's it going? While I'm waiting on him, I might as well talk to people. There he is. Let's get him on here. Hello,
Hey,
sir.
how you doing, buddy?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
Doing all right. Just drove back from the motherland today. So
Oh, you're back in Philly.
yeah, back in Philly for a little bit. Yeah, we've been going back and forth the whole time.
How's
But
how's the old Long Island?
it's nice, man. It's cool. It's going out to Eastern Long Island. It's a very special place in the country, and I feel pretty lucky that I get to go out there a lot. So it's nice. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, like the city doesn't really have anything for us anymore. You can't use any of the amenities of a city anymore. So we've been, especially with two little kids, so we've been trying to get out there as much as we can.
Yeah,
So,
I'm sure it's nice. So is this your in-laws' place?
yeah. I couldn't afford a rental out there.
It's
But yeah, my wife's father has a place out there. He's had it since the 80s and a little family compound. So we've been crashing with him every once in a while. So
it's
yeah,
right on the water. What in
it's a block away. It's in Sag Harbor.
yeah. Is
Uh,
that the North Fork? I forget, right?
it's a South Fork, but it's on the north part of the South Fork
Got it.
Yeah.
So you're
So
not in the Sound. You're in whatever
no,
that.
we're actually on a bay.
Yeah.
I think it's called the Noyak Bay.
Okay.
And then the ocean is a maybe like 15-minute drive. So
There's probably a
yeah,
Billy Joel song about it.
I think so. We see him a lot out there. Actually, he lives pretty close by.
Gardner's
So.
Bay and so
Yeah.
how's the quarantine musician life treating you?
It's interesting, obviously we've all had to make some pivots. So right when this started, I think I told you about this a little bit, but I picked up a new Roland V drum set,
Yeah.
and I put that together with Superior Drummer 3. And the sounds I've been getting out of it are just awesome. So I started recording for some people, doing like these virtual recordings, and lately I've been doing remote lessons also using that rig. And that's cool. It took me a little while to adjust to it, because I used to teach full time for maybe like 10 or 12 years right out of college. So I have a lot of teaching experience, but I've never done it remotely. So, just even like with the equipment, getting used to all that and figuring out how to set up a few high def cameras and everything. So that took a little bit, but I think I'm in the groove of it now, pun intended, and it's going all right. Yeah. So,
That's great.
we're
Well,
doing it.
yeah, I hear you. I had a couple lessons today, and Wednesday's actually a good day for. I mean, they're all good days, but I guess it
Yeah.
depends on who's practicing or not. But my Wednesday students are usually pretty on top of it. So
Nice.
yeah,
Those Wednesday kids, the hump day kids.
yeah. Well, one's older, and and all of my older students take it, very seriously, and it's nice because if they mess up, they like immediately call it out, and they want to like make sure they're doing it right. So when we're like running through stick control, because with my advanced students, I do a lot of stick control, and then whatever else they feel like doing.
Yeah.
Um, they'll like stop themselves if they're confused or whatever it might be. So whereas with my younger students, they kind of just plow through it. But I have my youngest, I teach a 6-year-old girl who's actually has like
Wow.
really solid rhythm. Like I realized with younger students that maybe I should have a lot of them playing to a metronome to kind of get used to it. And some of them, it's been a little hard to stick with it. And she's like, she has it down. Like we're not going too fast or anything, but like she stays perfectly in rhythm. And like when we start off to just warm up, just doing like quarter notes and eighth notes to the click, it's like perfectly on.
Wow.
It's like really surprising. But
wow. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, timing, I think, is something that you can learn, but when it's innate like that, especially for a 6-year-old, to have that, that's awesome, you know, and that could be a really cool jump off point for her in the future, you know, just having that under her belt. So, yeah.
So you taught out of college. I feel like we kind of did this already, but my podcast took like a backseat to, it's hard to interview people in person when there's a pandemic. So this is taking over that for now.
Yeah, yeah.
But so we kind of talked about this, but so after Drummers Collective?
Yeah, so I mean, Drummers Collective was only, where I went, it was only a 10-week program.
Yeah.
And when I went to college, at also in Long Island at Stony Brook, and I only minored in music there, but I wound up picking up one of the drum teachers, the professor. He moved and left me all of his drum students, so I inherited like a 30 student per week business. Yeah, so you know, from there I went up and running, and so I did that for a while until I moved to Pennsylvania, I guess in '99. So I did that for 7 years there, and then I continued in Pennsylvania, but not quite as much as I did in Long Island. But yeah, for 7 years solid, that was like my main gig. Yeah.
It's crazy. I taught for a little while, nothing crazy. Like I taught at like, I think I've taught at like 5 School of Rocks in my time as teacher, tenure. But and then I had like a couple of private students, but like I always was just like, I just want to play and I have no patience for like teaching. And then obviously like getting with this situation, I decided I'd pick it back up because I had to do something. And I'm remembering like how rewarding it actually is. Like it can be frustrating like with anything, especially, you know, people are having a hard time or younger students that aren't like taking it serious at all, you know? I don't know if it's appropriate. I definitely wouldn't say names. Like I had a student who like practiced 10, I was like, how much are you practicing? They're like 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, a day? And they're like, no, 10, 15 minutes.
And a lot of times you're lucky if you got that, you know?
And it's like, we have a half an hour lesson and we don't get, if we can't get through things in a half an hour lesson, practicing for 10, 15 minutes is not going to get you there. So like those are frustrating, but like, fortunately it's usually not that. And like, it's been extremely rewarding of just realizing how much I do enjoy teaching and keeping with it. So
yeah. No, it's cool. Like most students don't really practice that much, and it is frustrating because I'm not trying to teach them calculus. I'm teaching them drums. You know, this is something fun that they search me out to try to do. I'm talking about the younger kids, not the older ones. So it was a lot, but like those few that you connect with, like, you know, they almost become like your kids in a weird way, you know, like they really, you become proud of them and you see how they grow over the years. And it's a really cool connection, like this mentor sort of thing. And I haven't really had that in a lot of circumstances outside of teaching drums. So, except with my own kids. So it was really cool. It was really cool. The way I'm approaching this, I'm not really doing weeklies. I just want someone to come up to me, and they have a lot of problems or questions, and I try to in a half hour or an hour just try to throw as much stuff at them as I can and say, come back to me in 3-4 months and let's see how you do with it. You know, I just want to open doors. You know, you're like a drum chiropractor. Yeah, exactly. On my website, I put it. I view it more as a physician instead of like a normal teacher. You know, where like, here's your problem. Here, try this. Come back and let's see what happens. And that's really cool. And then if they are motivated, and usually they are, if they're going out of their way to do a remote lesson and everything, you know, and especially a lot of them are Lotus fans these days
Mhm.
too. So I'm showing them some Lotus songs and they come back and they're sending me videos. I just got a video today from another student. So it's really cool. So yeah, starting that up again is pretty awesome. And yeah, so here I am.
I know. I'm sure you're enjoying. Although Lotus doesn't really play that much where you would be away from your kids, but I bet it's really nice and rewarding in that aspect that you get to spend so much time, especially since your kids are so young. That like, it's nice that they have their dad around all the time, whereas
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. That's there are a lot of silver linings with the pandemic, and that's one of them. It's challenging also. I mean, my kids need about 13 hours of supervision every single day, and we're not bringing in babysitters, and we don't have family helping out. Just we're trying to keep everything isolated here. So it's a lot. So my wife and I were splitting it up, but even splitting it up, it's still looking at like 11-hour days, 12-hour days, and then cleaning up on top of it, and so doing that for 3 months. I've had 2 days off in 3 months from the kids, once for Father's Day. And the first one was funny. I did my taxes. It takes me an entire day to do my taxes. And I was doing it, and I was upstairs, and like normally it's the thing I dread the most. And I was up there. I'm like, oh my God, this is so awesome. It's just quiet, and I'm just doing my, it was really funny. Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, just how rare is it that you can, it's a very fleeting time. My kids are 2 and 4. And it's very rare that I can be with them all time and seeing them grow and, just this week bring them to the beach all the time and everything. So it's really cool too at the same time. So
yeah,
yeah.
that's very incredible. Which dog you got there? Is Charlie? Is Charlie with you?
Yeah, this is. Did you see? Can you see him? Miles just came up to
I
me
know.
right now.
I can't see. I can hear.
Yeah, Miles just came up to me and wants some love, and Charlie's sleeping on the floor next to me too. Yeah, they're a little mad at me that we come back to Philadelphia. They love being in the suburbs a little bit more. But
Yeah, I mean, especially there. I mean, growing up, I hated on Long Island a lot, and there's still aspects of it that it's like it's a little much. It's not exactly for me, but
yeah, the people there are a little weak.
yeah. But that aside, like it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, especially May through October.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Have you spent time out in Eastern Long Island at all? Like,
I talk with Callie about this all the time that I really want to go out. Short answer, yes, but
yeah.
I've never been to Montauk.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's cool. It's about 30-40 minutes from where we are.
Yeah,
Usually we go out there once or twice a year.
yeah. I've spent some time in like the Hamptons area. My aunt and uncle, like a handful of years back, rented like this massive house right on the beach, and my dad's been talking about doing something similar.
Yeah.
And it's just really nice to be out there. It's great. I mean, there's only like the one road when you get over there, so
Pretty much, yeah.
as long
I
as
mean,
you
when I was a kid, like the Hamptons, there was nothing there. It was just like end of the road, and now it's become like this huge, to do thing. It's the place to be seen and all that stuff. It's pretty funny.
yeah.
But yeah, it's good to go back and forth. It's nice to be in your own bed and all that.
I heard
And,
I heard in the Hamptons and Manhattan, where like there's a lot more money in New York, that they've had like a spike again of COVID cases.
Probably. I mean, there's spikes everywhere now,
Yeah.
like everywhere that's been opening up. And, I mean, it's just inevitable. I mean, Philly is just opening up now. Also, like our kids' preschool opened up this week. And, we're not going to send them. You know, it's weird. I don't know if I'm overreacting about it or not, but it's just there's too many unknowns, and every day you hear something different about how bad it is or it's not so bad, and I just figure, you know, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of unknowns, and I think we're being lied to a lot. Also, I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any means, but like, I mean, it's pretty obvious that our government's lying to us about a lot of things in
Yeah.
regards to this, so they don't cause panic, or you know, even Trump just saying over the weekend like how he was deliberately slowing down testing because he doesn't want the numbers to look bad. And people said, "Well, you're joking, right?" And he said, "No, I'm not joking."
Well,
And
now he's cutting. I think today it was announced, or maybe yesterday, but that he's cutting federal funding for that. So it makes sense that he just wants to be like, oh, testing isn't important, so that we can. He just wants to cut and slash where he can, even though like it's the most important aspect. Nothing has changed since the. I mean, we don't know a lot about it, but nothing has changed since the beginning of the factor that like we need to be at 300,000 tests or more every week, or sorry, is it every week or every day or something insane where like you just keep testing people so that if they come back positive, they know to self-isolate. And the more that we can do this, also like antibodies don't seem to be really holding. Like my dad is a pulmonologist. And I feel like I talk about it on every episode because it's such a big thing right now with what's going on. But like he's a pulmonologist or a lung doctor, so dealing like specifically with this is like his life right now.
yeah.
The bottom line is that they don't know much about it. I mean, besides certain science aspects of this, and like that the virus dies in UV light after 30 seconds and like various things like that, they don't really know anything about this. And he's like, if only our leaders would just at least tell people like, we don't know anything about this, rather than trying to make it a thing where everything's fine and go about your business and the economy can't collapse anymore. But it's how things are done here. Like I saw someone post recently about the fact of the economy and the health scare surrounding this. Like it exists everywhere, but it's bad here, and there's a reason for it. It's not as bad in a lot of other places around the world.
Oh yeah.
Clearly a leadership problem.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, the biggest mistake was in the very beginning. If you and funny enough, one of the bands I've been working with remotely is a band from New Zealand, and they are totally open right now. Totally, everything is back to normal. It's like if nothing happened.
But they did it right at the beginning.
They did it right. Their prime minister, all she did, she looked at Italy, and she said, "Oh my God, we're going to be like that if we don't close it down." Closed everything down. He was actually out of the country. He was in the States. And when he flew back, they made him get a hotel room and kept him in the hotel room for 2 weeks before they let him out. And, you know, at the time, it seemed extreme doing this in February. But now the result is that New Zealand, you know, you can do whatever you want. And it's almost, I don't know if you saw those pictures of the rugby games that were going on there, and everyone's just outside, and it's awesome. And it you know, it's a little maddening that, I mean, you can't compare a country with 4 million people compared to the United States.
It's also an island that helps.
Yeah, it's an island, right? Sure. So I mean, they're dealing with a different situation, but we could have been in a much better place than we are now. And so where the unknown, you know, I was following this very closely, and especially back in January, February, I was looking a lot at Italy, just because they were 2 weeks ahead of us, so I knew exactly what was going to happen in 2 weeks, pretty much. But now it's kind of an unknown because we're opening up, and so there's going to be a spike. I know that there's going to be a spike. So what do we do after that? Can we close down again? Can the United States close down for another 3-4 months? I don't think so, because I think people are so fed up with it already. You know, like people are fighting wearing masks. People aren't going to go outside. So I think it's just going to have to take its course, and it's just going to take out whoever.
That's why we're seeing spikes, though, is because people just don't want to wear masks, or they're wearing them inappropriately. Like this drives me crazy.
I say that a lot too.
It's so stupid. And I love the like the picture of the guy with like, like his dick is hanging out of his pants, but like it's like, why are you wearing pants? There's no point. Then that's what I do. It drives me crazy, but that's the biggest thing because they're even saying now like protests aren't the reason why there's being spikes. If you're at protests where people are like, I just went to one a week and a half ago, and thankfully I feel fine. I wore an N95 mask and I like kept my distance. I like walked in front when we were walking, or I went off to the side and waited and went towards the back so that like I could keep a good amount of space. And even so, before we started marching, people were pretty good about keeping 6 feet like on either side of them. And
that's cool. That's cool.
So, but it was a lot of people. I don't know how many thousands of people, but like we walked from essentially Broad and Spring Garden, like where they're building the new police headquarters, because it was a defund the police protest. And we walked down Broad and around City Hall and down to like down Market to the Liberty Bell, essentially, but like cut up Third, and it stopped at Mayor Kenny's apartment.
Yeah, that's funny.
Which at that point I was
that must have been cool to be a part of that, though.
It was really cool. I felt like I had like I've been doing a lot of research and trying to like not be a part of the problem, and as much as I've understood a little bit about systemic racism, like know more about it and share as much, information as possible and do my part. And I felt it was important, even though like we're really strict in like the household as far as like making sure wearing masks. And I mean, we've always been, which I know it's similar or it's the same in your house of like take your shoes off, wash your hands when you get in.
Sure.
But that just made sense. So like there wasn't that much of an adjustment from this other than leaving your safe haven and going out in the world where like people don't want to wear masks or like, and I understand if like they're eating food, but I've definitely seen a lot of people just like hanging out, wandering, even in our apartment building. Like I'll go in the lobby, there's tons of people that don't wear masks. And that's like the hard thing too, is we don't have the easy access of like walking out your front door and you're outside, or hanging out in the back patio in this new spot. We have to go to the rooftop, which is incredible, but then you're surrounded by a bunch of people that aren't wearing masks. So it's been an adjustment. And yesterday I kind of had one of those days of just like missing playing music with other human beings and doing what we do. I mean, I went 3 months without playing a drum set, period. As a kid, and it was brutal. I hated like everything.
You have a kit in your apartment now? Did you get an electronic kit? Or?
I don't now, but I'm about to have just something. I mean, fortunately, Tom is letting me like go to his studio every once in a while. Although I haven't played drums now or a drum kit now for a week and a half because I went to the protest. So I'm giving some space just to make sure. But I mean, at this point, it was two Saturdays ago. So like I'm just about at that safe spot, and I haven't had anything. So
how do you feel going from, because you were playing with not babies from Ghostlight. How many shows a year? You're doing probably close to how many?
Like 70.
So you're going from 70, 80 shows, and then now to nothing for 3 months. So how does that feel for you?
I mean, it's really rough because, I mean, 70 shows a year is the least amount of shows that I've done. I mean, with other random things here and there that I do, whether it's like shows with Ian or whatever, it's probably closer to 100 shows a year that I play.
Yeah.
But before that, it was, I mean, with Dopapod, it was probably 120 or more. I know before I joined the band, they were doing 150 shows a year. I don't think I ever did that though. But it was definitely like, to put it in perspective with now having 3+ months off, I never had more than 3 weeks off between tours. And they were
Yeah.
usually anywhere between 5 to 9 week long tours.
Wow.
So
So you're the total road dog, and now you're grounded.
I'm
And
grounded.
I'm
Uh,
sure part of it feels good too. Like it's nice to just like stop for a minute because traveling is hard. People don't understand, I think, how much of a toll it takes on you, physically, psychologically.
yeah.
Um, it's nice to, for me, especially, I'm almost 11 years in with Lotus now, and I was traveling a lot before that. So finally, like now it's just like, oh my God, I haven't been on a plane in 3 months. I haven't been on a bus. This is awesome. And then like, I get in just today, my Google Calendar popped up and it said Electric Forest. We were supposed to be playing Electric Forest this weekend. And then it was like a knife in my heart, I'm just like, oh man, like it's one of my favorite festivals to play. And the same thing happened with Red Rocks. We were supposed to play Red Rocks in April. So those two so far have really hurt.
Yeah.
But it's nice to kind of step back from it a little bit and miss it. It's almost like I think with relationships when you're around Cali all the time, you take it for granted and you go away when you're on the road and then you come back, and then I'm sure you're like excited to see her. Or
Yeah.
if you see her every day, like it's cool that you're seeing her, but you're not like excited to see her. So now I'm excited to play again, where before, it's just like something you do. Okay, I'm going to play a show, and now everyone's just waiting, you're itching to play. So it was
Yeah.
nice to get that break to pause a little bit. But yeah, I'm psyched. I just don't think it's going to be for a while. Who knows?
I don't think until I know there's a lot of I think it depends on how many people you play for. I think things aren't fully going back to normal until like summer of next year. But I
That's what
feel
I'm
like
thinking. Yeah.
but I feel like even for us, we might be able to pull off some things in spring. I kind of feel like depending on if we can get our act together or if things change, which unfortunately, not to be political, but with this current presidency, I don't see our act getting together at any point. But
Yeah.
I feel like fall in small clubs could be a case, and maybe bands that are used to playing bigger clubs will do these small clubs, and just their ticket price will be a little bit more.
Or
But
big clubs with not a lot of people in them.
yeah,
Um, but even I don't know. I don't know if a lot of people would show up. It's going to be interesting. We'll have to, and nobody knows. I guess it also depends on how close they are to getting with vaccines and everything. Because I know normally it takes 4 or 5 years to make a vaccine, but like every single scientist in the world is working on this right now, and they're going to rush one through. I don't know if I'm going to be first in line to get a vaccine that's been rushed through. Also, I may want to wait a little bit.
there's going to be a
But
lot of things. Even my dad was saying if you normally get the flu vaccine every year,
yeah,
that you're going to want to make an appointment as soon as you can, because it's going to be insane this year with everyone getting through and trying to do even just to separate out the one. I used to never get vaccinated, but then when swine flu was happening and my dad was seeing patients with it, he was like, you really should get a swine flu vaccine, and you should probably get the regular flu vaccine. And since then I've gotten it every year. I'm not really like, I'm not against them. I do agree that there is some level of like with some of these things that you can fight off. I know that there are chances of things that like could go wrong, but like there's also terrible things that could happen if you don't get the vaccine. So I'll take my chances with a vaccine any day of the week. The biggest thing is going to be antivirals, because if they
yeah.
treat it better, then we'll be good. Because yeah, we won't have a vaccine for, it seems at this rate, until at least a year.
Probably fall 2021.
So
Crazy
weird.
times.
It's
We're
weird,
living in
but
a movie.
yeah.
I really feel.
But to answer your question about the drum set, so I am gonna put mesh heads on my my new club kit, my
Oh,
18-inch
smart. Yeah.
bass drum, and I'm getting a EAD10, the Yamaha unit
Uh-huh.
that a lot of people are getting now. It just seems like a practical thing to
Is
have.
that like a trigger unit or what is that?
So it's an audio and trigger unit. So it's
Okay.
a little device about yay big that clips onto the hoop of your bass drum, and
Okay.
it has two microphones that are aiming at you. So it captures everything in this close proximity pretty well. So cymbals and at the very least, like the two rack toms and a floor tom and your snare will be picked up fine. Things slightly further away will be maybe slightly quieter, but I've been told that like a side snare would be picked up just fine as
Huh.
well, and a second floor tom would be cool too. And it plugs into a module where it
Okay.
has built-in presets and various sounds. So you can have like a reverb, like arena sound. It also has like reverse gates so that you can do like the Phil Collins in the air tonight, Phil. And it sounds pretty awesome, especially for what it is. But the bass drum microphone mount is also a bass drum trigger. So it's a
Uh,
acoustic electric blend of not only picking up your drum set really well and doing like auto compression and EQ and all that sort of stuff, but it triggers the bass drum. You can also add other, like a snare trigger. So the kit that I'm getting has the unit for the bass drum with the microphones and the trigger and a snare trigger. You can get other triggers and add to it. And then it
hmm.
has like different applications for it where you can record video and audio because it's like its purpose was kind of for to have a better option for social media stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So you can do that sort of thing with it, but you can also upload a song into it. So you can hook up your phone or an iPod or whatever, and you can it'll scan through the song so that it'll automatically put a click to it, and then it'll add however many bars you want of a count in before you even start.
No, that's awesome. The
Yeah.
future is here.
So it's pretty awesome in that sense. So I figured not only will it be practical for me to like demo and do videos with from an audio standpoint, but it's so portable that I can keep the mesh head kit here and have the kick and snare running through the module. And I have
Yeah.
a whole set of the Zildjian low volume cymbals.
Oh yeah, I have those too. Yeah.
So it'll pick that up too with the microphone. So I can just have my ears in and I can do everything out of this little module unit. It's about yay big.
That's sick. I'll have
It's
to
not
check
that
that out. I
much.
never even heard of it. Yeah.
It's like 500 for the module that comes with the microphone bass drum trigger. And
Right.
if you get the set that comes with the snare trigger as well, which is like a dual zone trigger, it's an extra $50. So for $550, I have like a multi-purpose hybrid module unit thing that will come in handy. And we'll see. I mean, everything I've heard about it and everything I've seen sounds and looks awesome. So
Yeah.
I'm
Let me
excited.
know. Let me know what you think of it after you start playing with it a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. You'll
Check it out.
have to try it out when we're able to hang again.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys were very, very helpful to Callie and I when we moved to Philly between having a place to stay and then recommendations and various things. So we're forever grateful. And
Yeah. No, I was like when you guys decided to come down. You know, it's a great city for musicians. So.
yeah, I mean, you can't beat it as far as like airport's right there. So it's a cheap Uber ride or whatever, to get there. And as far as living in the city and being in an actual city, it's pretty cheap. I mean, it's not like living in the South cheap, but like
No, but for the Northeast, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty affordable. Yeah, I like it a lot. So.
I feel like it has to be the cheapest major metropolitan city,
I
right?
think it is. I would say so. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Nashville. I don't
Na-
know if it's cheap,
Nashville's pretty cheap.
but that's down south. Doesn't count.
Yeah.
But for the Northeast, definitely for the
But
Northeast.
even per capita, like Nashville is a major city and especially a music city, and there is an
Yeah,
international airport,
that's
but
true.
like it's not as big as Philly.
No,
I don't know how many people are in Nashville, but I would assume it's not what I forget what we have here exactly. Is it
I
like
think 1.2.
1.2 million?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was more than that, but I could be wrong.
That's just in Philadelphia County. So maybe
Okay.
I don't know if you're thinking of the suburbs too and all that. But
No, I guess, yeah, really just Philadelphia County, which is still pretty big. It goes up there. It's not just that, like, this little stretch of center city, you know. But I don't know. It's definitely been a good move being here for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Until now.
Yeah, but this is like everywhere is
I
going
know,
through
I
this
know.
right now, so I can't really complain too much. So, but drum wise, let's go back to some fun drum talk.
Sure.
Um, so you are playing. You've got a Sonar Mappa Burl Maple kit?
It's a Sonar Newport, and they only made I think 50 of them
Oh, really?
worldwide. But it's a beach kit, and
Oh, it's beach.
yeah, beach. I really liked it. It's funny because I was looking. I love Benny Greb's drums. He plays Sonar, and they're a beach kit too. And he has the SQ2s, and like a beach SQ2 kit is like $10,000 or whatever it is. And then they just came out with this one, and it's pretty much the exact sizes and specs I was looking for, same hardware, everything I wanted, and they had a kit at in Pennsylvania, so I just ran out, grabbed it real quick, and yeah, so that's been my main kit. I think for probably 7 or 8 years now, I've had that kit.
Yeah, I remember
But
when you had the GMS kit,
yeah,
Long Island
Long Island, yes, Strong
drum
Island,
kit.
and I still have it. That's the kit I use for local shows. That one lives in my garage.
Mm.
Um, the Sonars, the Lotus. We have a warehouse in Delaware we keep all our stuff at, so I don't even have access to that kit anymore. So yeah,
I
the
thought
GMSs.
you guys don't have a warehouse. You guys aren't here, or is that just the rehearsal space?
So that's the place with the biscuits also have. We don't store our equipment there. That's just where we have a rehearsal spot. So
Cool.
yeah,
It's cool. It's right there.
I know.
I
know.
walked there the other day.
Yeah,
Walking around the neighborhood, I was actually meeting up with a friend to like get some social hang in with a bit of distance while outside, because that's where I'm fine with being outside, wearing a mask, or being at least 6 feet away, especially.
sure. Yeah,
And I would literally like the halfway point before walking around was like, I'm just gonna walk up Fifth, and like I like pretty much got there. Um,
it's a cool spot walking through there. And the guy, for people don't know, it's the warehouse. It's a backline company, so they probably have, I guess, probably 20 or 30 drum sets in there.
yeah,
And the guy that owns it, the first day we were in there, was like, "Yeah, feel free to use whatever you want. It's cool. Just put it back when you're done." I'm like, "Oh my god!" I didn't even touch any of them. I was too nervous. But he has vintage kits, new kits, anything you want. It's pretty awesome in there.
I haven't really seen it. I've just seen like the biscuits corner of
Oh,
it.
okay. Yeah, yeah.
And it's pretty, I mean, it's definitely nice. And I
It's
had
cool.
no idea that it's like right here. I had been there before, but it didn't like dawn on me until kind of recently when I was there to like help with like assembling, putting together Alan's like newest kit, that I was like, yeah, it's like right, I could walk here. It's the
Yeah, yeah.
convenient place ever as far as having a space there, although it's not my space, so it's really not that convenient at all. Uh, but it's nice. Yeah. So, are you a sonar artist, or you just have?
No, I just bought them.
Are you
Yeah.
affiliated with like any companies, or you just you want the?
Not really. Like some gave me a discount. The ears I'm actually using right now are Jerry Harvey, and then the I use a the throne that I use has a speaker built into it. The Porter and Davies.
Yeah.
So with them, but nothing officially.
Yeah.
Kind of staying independent in that world.
No, I mean,
Um,
I hear that. I mean, I have like
you're with
everything.
Tama, right? Yeah.
I'm with Tama and then Evans and Promark. They're all owned under the D'Addario umbrella.
Yeah.
Um, so I have all of that stuff, which is very helpful. I love being with Tama and I love Tama drums, so it works out just fine. But like, really, the biggest thing was just like heads and sticks, because those are,
Yeah,
you have a drum set, you're probably good for at least 5 years, or so
Yeah.
before you really need to get another one.
No
Uh,
way, man. No, I'm keeping a skit for life.
well,
And
I'm
heads,
not.
I only change my heads once a year. You
There you
know,
go.
I change them like right before our New Year's run. I'll throw some new heads on, and they last me the whole year.
Yeah,
So
I'm somewhere around. I probably don't need to change them super often, but I would say maybe once a year, maybe twice a year. And I probably don't have to. I just feel like it. There's
yeah.
something rewarding about changing drum
No,
heads.
it's nice getting those freshies on.
Yeah.
But I am coming up to a problem with my sticks though, because I use Johnny Rab sticks still. I think I showed you
Yeah.
some.
And
So he went out of business, I guess, like 8 or 9 years ago, and it was almost like on Seinfeld, Elaine with the sponge. She just went and bought boxes of them, and I did the same exact thing. I bought so many, and I'm probably down to maybe like 10 dozen left. So I
ooh,
maybe only have like a year, maybe 2 years left before they're out, and then I don't know. I'm gonna cry when that last one's done. So
well, so he wasn't doing that anymore. Like I talked to him kind of not super recent about it, but like I talk with him every handful of months or so. And he's actually doing this like a month from now or something like that. But
oh, cool.
he had like an issue. I don't know. It's not really for me to tell. But like, so he stopped
Yeah.
doing the stick company. But I swear he said he was going to start it back up again, and he was going to like have full control over doing the stick because
That'd be great. Just in time. See?
yeah. So did he have multiple kinds, or was it the one that has like the rigid?
No, he had a lot. And actually, the one I use is the Jim Keltner model. Do you know Jim Keltner, the drummer? Yeah. So, yeah, I use those. They're really cool. It's like a very long taper, 5A, 5B sort of stick. But yeah, it's awesome. So, I mean, a decent amount of warp now just because I've had them for so long. But
Yeah.
uh,
I mean, I've been
yeah.
fortunately, this pair of drumsticks has lasted me this entire quarantine, and there's really nothing. There's like some divots in there, but like it hasn't splintered yet. And like I ordered a bunch of stuff through my company and hit up like Evans and Promark and was like, I need all this. Like my drum set, I still have the factory reso heads on everything, which is fine.
Yeah.
You don't really have to change it. But I was like, let me try something different, see if I can get the sound I want without putting like a piece of tape on the bottom of the head or something to like cut some of the resonance. And I ordered so much stuff, and because I was about to go out on tour, and then this all happened.
Yeah.
And I was actually going to visit my parents, and the factory is for the company is on Long Island. They make like the sticks are made because they bought Promark kind of recently. The factory's still in Texas, so like it's
Okay.
all still made there. But like every D'Addario string, every Evans drumhead, like they're all made on Long Island, like in this factory,
Okay. I
and
didn't know
everything
that.
ships out of there. So when I'm planning a Long Island trip to visit my parents, I'll have like big boxes of things shipped to their house because it's like dirt cheap. Because it's like
Smart.
a 20-minute drive from the factory. And with Tama's in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. So anytime I get
You
Tama
just go
stuff,
pick it up.
it's super cheap. I could go pick it up, but like they'll just send it here. It's super cheap, and I get it like
Yeah.
a day.
That's
So
awesome.
I'm
That's awesome.
fortunate in that sense. But yeah, like I'm waiting for these sticks to go, especially now with like going to play more drum set stuff. Like they're only going to last for so long for sure. But
Yeah.
if you want to come over to this side, I have a I know a guy.
I may have to take you up on that, especially when they run out. So
And if you like the Keltner model, like what is it, like a long teardrop tip?
yeah, uh-huh.
You might like, do you know Carter McLean?
No.
He's an insane drummer. I absolutely love this guy, but like he plays or played because it's down right now, but he's the drummer for Lion King on Broadway.
Oh, okay.
But he's also one of the drummers for Charlie Hunter.
Gotcha. Okay.
And he's just like absolutely incredible. He's got this site, Four Hands Drumming, but he does a lot of Instagram stuff, and he's just constantly keeping busy. But he's a huge Keltner fan. In fact, his cat's name is Jim Keltner, and he and he just came out with a drumstick, and I feel like it's probably similar. For all I know, he used to use Johnny Rad like Keltner sticks as well. And I think that's a ProMark model. So you should come over. I know Russo's with ProMark and Evans as well.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Broadway show drummers are insane. They're great. I had a funny experience with one when I did one of the Funkin' Bowl shows with Eli, and I was playing and I was feeling good about myself, and the sax player said, "Hey, do you mind if I have one of my friends sit in? He's playing with Hamilton right now. They're on tour. They're in Philly." And I said, "Yeah, sure." And the guy came in and just, my jaw was on the floor. This guy was just so unbelievable. And he hands me back the sticks. I'm like, "Oh, thanks, man," and have to finish out the show after that. But yeah, those guys are just awesome. There's so many great drummers. Even being on I've only been on Instagram now since April. I'm a newbie. And it's cool, I follow some of the feeds from different drummers, and it's amazing how much talent there is out there.
Yeah.
It's a little dangerous too. On the flip side of that, I think you have like a minute, whatever, to play something cool, and it's a lot of licks. It's a lot of a million miles per hour notes, and I think it can be dangerous for younger drummers thinking that that's what drumming is about. Just because, I mean, that's part of it, and the drum dork in me looks at that stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's great. This guy he's this fast and he could play all this stuff. But sometimes I see them play all those notes, and they play all these notes, but they're not saying anything. And then also, if I played like that with Lotus, I would get fired in a heartbeat. I'm sure Tom would throw some shit at you too if you were, if you started going too crazy.
Group goes long.
And you just think about all of the songs that are that like meant a lot to you when you were growing up, or just the soundtrack to your life. Think about those songs and think about how many of those had very complex drum parts where it's not that many, maybe a few. Maybe if you were young and you were listening to Rush or something and trying to check out Neil Peart songs, but still, I don't know if those songs are soundtracks to your life. Like you know what I'm talking about.
And ultimately, songs. When it comes down to it, some of the best aspects of those songs, even though they have like the break that's very like progressive rock, but like a lot of them eventually cut down to like a 4/4 thing. Even with Rush, like especially like Spirit of the Radio time period, like Peart was listening to a lot of Stuart Copeland, and Copeland has speed, but like he's playing solid grooves, and a
Oh,
lot of
sure,
it
yeah.
might even just be like a one drop reggae thing, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
there's
he's one of my
definitely,
favorites
yeah. I mean,
still.
he's absolutely incredible. That's kind of why I play Tama, essentially.
Yeah. I forgot he was with them. That's right.
Yeah. So, in fact, for a while, I wanted to get. They were selling a replica of his kit, like the 6-piece kit
The Octobans?
with the octagons, and I was like, that might be my next kit. I don't know. So,
I have a funny story with him. I started playing drums when I was 9, when I was in 4th grade. And it was shortly after that, I was just riding my bike around my neighborhood, and I found a cassette tape of, I don't know if I'm even pronouncing it right, Zenyatta Mandata. And I'm like, oh, what's this? You know, because this is before any sort of internet, or like when they weren't playing that on the radio. And I brought it home and I put it in my boom box, and I was blown away by what, I've never heard anything like that before. And I brought it into my drum teacher and I said, I want to play this. And he's like, maybe we'll start with some Michael Jackson first. I was like 9. And, but yeah, since then he's been one of my favorites. Just he has the power in his backbeats, and he has the finesse, the musicality, so he's kind of that triple threat of a drummer. So.
I feel like for me, taught a lot of like the Moeller technique of just like the power that comes down with whipping that stick down. And he's kind of.
Does he use Moeller though? Like, or is he just like have that naturally? Like, did he study that?
I don't
know
know
if he did.
I don't know if he studied Moeller, and in some way it might not even be that actual motion of true Moeller. It could just be that he's got tons of force behind what he's driving in. But I'm not exactly sure. But what I will say about Instagram and with drumming, like if you search around, there's a lot of stuff. And really Instagram is kind of the minute aspect, is like a marketing suck you in tool, because now they have, like with IGTV, like this all goes out after the fact on there and gets saved. You can put up whatever you want, but ultimately it comes down to attention spans. Like a lot of people don't have. We're in that society now where like everyone's constantly on their phone, which I'm not necessarily knocking, because that's what they're doing right now, watching. But like, it's gonna be interesting. I thought before coronavirus, I was like, things are already kind of with phone technology and where things are, like in kids and being raised with a phone in their hand or whatever, which I know some parents are not about that as well, and I have the utmost respect for that. I'm interested to see, like now more so, like what is the psychological effect of being raised and old enough to remember COVID?
Yeah, no, it's going to be it's going to be huge. Even not looking at COVID, but just having the access, coming up, learning anything, having access to YouTube, to Instagram. We didn't have that when I was a kid. We would have like these video cassettes of they were like Hudson Music. They had like 9 tapes, and like we would get Steve Gadd. Yeah, Dennis Chambers, Steve Gadd, the Buddy Rich memorials, and we'd get them. We'd bring them to the band room in high school, and we'd play hooky and watch these tapes and make copies of them, and give them to each other, and like so like everyone kind of like knew all those tapes, and there were 9 of them, and now just to have all this wealth of information, it's really cool. People, it's going to be twofold though, because one, it definitely does decrease your attention span. I notice it even as an adult now, being on the phone a lot. You feel it. You feel it the next day. It messes with your attention a little bit. But, so that's the negative side of it. But the positive is the world is at your fingertips here, for anything that you want to learn. Even outside of music too, like I have a few rental properties, and I grew up a Jew in Long Island. I didn't even know how to paint a room. I swear to God, I couldn't paint. I couldn't fix anything. And then you get these properties, and it's expensive to fix them. So I started doing it on my own, and I looked up how to fix, dryers or how to fix refrigerators. And you just, I look at it and I do it. And you learn that way. So if I could learn how to do that, you get a 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid look on YouTube and looking up how to do double stroke rolls or anything. It almost makes music school not obsolete maybe, but you may have to think twice about spending $100,000 a year going to Berkeley or whatever it is now, when you can get all of this on your own.
Well, especially when all those people that went to Berkeley now are putting out all of their concepts and things that they've learned on.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, do you know Matt Gariska? He's the.
I've heard of him.
He's like, it hurts sometimes to like your brain to watch. like I was just teaching a lesson and going over stick control, and in some of those areas of stick control, like your brain starts to become mush a little bit.
Yeah.
This is like, I don't know how he's thinking, like permutating like beats, and like you're playing the same thing, but you just keep shifting it over a 16th note, and like doing the weirdest concepts and things. And they're all up on YouTube and Instagram now. So like the thing about with teaching and stuff is like learning, not that it's all cracked up to technique, but like the importance of technique and having someone to tell you if you're playing something right or wrong. Ultimately,
that's true. Yeah. I think you can get there faster by doing that. Although sometimes, playing devil's advocate, someone who may be playing, incorrectly, may have their own sound a little bit more than someone who has flawless technique. Maybe someone who's a little sloppy but sounds kind of cool.
Like the Ringo aspect,
sure.
of leading with the left, like, and that goes back with the songs of just like playing the groove. Like I've talked with Mikey Karuba about this before. People can say all they want about Ringo and not maybe being the greatest drummer, but can you imagine Beatles songs with any other drum part?
No, absolutely not.
And that's what's important.
Yeah.
Making it all come together. So,
what's your take on music college then? People going to Berkeley or another school majoring in music, because there are pros and cons of it. Cons to it. What's your take on it?
I think it depends on what you want to get out of it. It can't hurt anything but your pocket or your parents' pocket, and that's not a drummer thing. I mean, it'll help your drummer pocket, but your financial pocket, your wallet, will be a lot smaller. I mean, I never went, and ultimately I ended up in a Berkeley band, but essentially, but there's a lot of things that because my plan was to go to Berkeley, there were a lot of things that I know I would have learned and had better under my belt had I gone to Berkeley. Now, you could still learn all of that stuff now, though, in the YouTube world. But, like, you need to have the patience, and you have to have some sort of understanding and, like, an adult mentality going into it of, like, being patient with it and paying attention. So, that's kind of it. But listen, it's giving me the warning. It counts down at a certain point, and then it ends. But thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. And
sure thing, buddy.
I hope to see you and your family soon and get to hang when all of this clears up a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about hanging for a while, so this is the second best thing to it, But
I know.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you over. So.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
All right, buddy.
Well, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
See ya.
For everyone else who's still on here, that was Mike Greenfield from Lotus. Thank you so much for doing this. Next week's episode, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week's guest is my mentor and great buddy, Mr. KJ Saka. So I will see you next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on Instagram Live. Peace. Stay safe.